Okay, for the first time today, I'm going to let you see me. Yes, Bonnie, from Bonnie's Best Creations. And I hope you're enjoying my videos. And I know I've been away from my sisters and family for so long. And this channel is also for them to see a little bit of me. Yes, my hair's gone gray, it's gone long, but you know what? We're blessed. I'm blessed. Anyway, today I'm taking time. I'm taking time to do the things that I set out to do in the morning. What I do every day, I try to do something for somebody else, spend time with in my devotions and prayer. I pray for you. And I like to do something in the garden. Of course, exercise. So gardening is part of my exercise. So I want you to see what I'm doing today. So let's go down into the garden. It's a beautiful day today. As I've showed you before, in my garden, I love little vignettes. I've created little pockets of interest, and today I'm working on this. There's an old chair there, and I'm going to replace it with this old table that I dug out of somebody's garbage. So I'm going to work away at that, and you tell me what you think of this when I'm finished. As you've seen in my other videos, I've used barrels just to create an eye catcher in the garden. Wishing well, angels. With half barrels, I've created like a mini fairy garden with roses. I've not thrown out any bird houses, just collected them. A pond for the sound of water. Old lanterns. There's a fairy. I gotta change her. She's embedded in the garden, but she's peeking through. As we walk along, I wish you could smell the hydrangea. And an arbor, just a gate to make you feel like you're going into something magical. I got an old mirror that has an old bike, so that creates another little area just to let your eye wander. A bench. Now, what I've been working on is I moved that old chair and I put it here and just filled it with some old tinware that I've had put around. I've collected, and it's rusty, but I love that rusty look. And so here's what I've created. Tell me what you think. So there's my stepping stones. And there is the table that I've put some flowers, an old shovel, quite like it. And I must show you as I go along. Another gate. But something else that my sister gave me was an old metal headboard. So that creates another little area of interest, and my clematis will grow up and over that. So I hope that's given you some inspiration to look outside of your box and just to create those little areas of pockets of interest. Take the time just to have fun. And you know what? It doesn't really matter what you think anybody else thinks. Anybody's welcome to my garden anytime, just to relax and take the time to enjoy all the pleasures. So if you have time, step into my kitchen because we're going to bake. If you hear water running in my kitchen as we go in to bake, then it is this water. And I love the sound of water from my kitchen as I'm baking. And this is another vignette that I've created just as I step out into my deck. It just makes me feel good, warm and relaxed. So when you hear the water, that's what you hear. It's time to bake. Today we're making swirled blueberry lemon thyme cake. Yes, you have the time to bake a cake. You have time to spend some time with me, so let's go. I've been thinking a lot about time. What do you take time for? Time to read a book, time to watch TV, time to reach out to friends, or just to bake with thyme. So here we go. I know that blueberry season is upon us, and hopefully you'll be able to get out and pick some blueberries, fresh blueberries. But if you don't have fresh blueberries, frozen are your best friend. So let's get going. All right, so what I've started with is my basics. In my food processor, I've got 8 tablespoons of margarine or basil. You can use butter. So let's get going. To that, I'm adding a half a cup of slowly white sugar. You know, if you've been baking with me, this is the basics. And then to that, I'm going to add 3 eggs. Don't forget when you bake, get all your ingredients all together so you're not running all over the place. And then it comes together pretty good. All right. So I'm just going to whip that up till it's light and fluffy. To that, I'm going to add the zest of a tablespoon of lemon zest. I freeze my lemons sometimes. It helps it to produce a little bit more juice. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zest it into this bowl. I love this zester. And don't forget, you just want the yellow. You don't want any of the white pith. It is not good. It's bitter. So let's zest that. Right? Get that in your bowl. Then I'm going to cut this lemon. And because I froze it and then microwaved it, it's so juicy. And I'm just going to use my fingers to catch any of the seeds, because you don't want any seeds in your cooking. And that should be good. And pour that in. Oop, there's a seed. Oop, one more. That's okay. Fish them out. And right. Now this recipe calls for sour cream, and I'm going to think a little bit healthier, and I'm not going to use sour cream. I'm going to use Greek yogurt. So we want a half a cup of Greek yogurt or sour cream, whatever you prefer. I always have yogurt in the house. I like to use what I have. You can always switch up things when you're baking. All right. Now I'm going to add about a tablespoon of vanilla extract. I have measured out 1.5 cups of flour, and to that I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, you might want to sift. I don't sift, but that's up to you. And just a touch of salt. Salt always brings out the flavor of anything, chocolate or lemon or anything you're baking. And I'm going to add that. Years ago, people didn't have time to do those extra things that we do these days, but the results were good. Did you get the pun about time? Okay, we're just gonna cook that till it's moistened. I am going to just scrape the bottom. Okay, let's just mix it one more time. That's enough. to my batter, I'm going to add a half a cup, a quarter of a cup of blueberries. To that, I'm going to add 1.5 cups of blueberries. And you know what? I'm just going to fold that in. Just gently fold that in. If I make any mistakes here, I will have the complete description of the recipe below. I have greased a loaf pan, and I'm going to add half, let's turn this so you can see, half of my mixture, my batter, half of it, with the batter. Now, to this, I've got some blueberry jam, and I'm going to take about a tablespoon . I'm going to put that in the middle, and with my knife, I'm just going to swirl. Just swirl it, just lightly. And then put the rest of my batter now. I don't know about your house, but all the years I've been baking, my kids fought over who would lick the bowl, who would lick the spoon, who would lick the beater. I'd have to divide it up amongst all three of them, including my husband. Now I've set aside a quarter cup of blueberries, which I'm just going to put on top, and I am going to sprinkle, I'm going to use this just lightly on top, a little bit of granulated sugar, not much, just to there. Now I've got a 375 oven preheated, and I'm going to bake that for about an hour, and I shall be back. Okay, so here is my swirled blueberry lemon thyme loaf, and it has cooled. And what I have done is I've mixed 2/3 of a cup of icing sugar, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice from a bottle, or if you've got the fresh squeezed, and I'm going to drizzle that all across the top. This loaf took an hour to bake, but again, you have to look at your own oven and keep watching it. If the toothpick comes out clean, it's done. Now, because it's thyme in the garden, I've grown lemon thyme. Now, this is optional. So what I've done is I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit on top. If you don't want that, you don't have to do it. But that will soften nicely in the loaf. Now, I want you to know that there's so many things you've got to take time with. You got to take time to wake up. You got to take time to sleep. You got to take time to smell the roses. There's songs, time after time, a time for us. If I had time in a bottle, you know what? You got to take time for you. God says He existed before time. So listen, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for tea time. So I hope, and guess what I'm going to be having with my tea. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and I will see you again with Bonnie's Best Creations. God bless.